Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Chapter 6. Ahem. Su Ming. You should follow them to the Research Institute. Although C-level abilities can enter the University of Abilities for further study, it is still very difficult to enter those four schools, and your ability it is an unknown category, and it is better to have a research institute to help you explore it than to explore it alone. The principal coughed twice and said that he knew the virtues of the people in the Research Institute. It seemed strange to drag others away, but if they were people in the Research Institute, it was normal. After thinking for a moment, Su Ming nodded and agreed to the matter. Although he is confident that he can play well with spatial abilities, the improvement of abilities is his weakness. Obviously, the Research Institute is professional in this area. If they can help him, he can save himself a lot of detours. The people who followed the Research Institute got into the car, and one of them took out a blindfold to put on Su Ming. Although the Research Institute is a subsidiary organization of the Alliance, it will not exist in a certain area because of its different positioning. Forget it, his ability is related to space, so he must be very sensitive to the perception of space. This has little effect on him. The blonde woman waved her hand and said, "In fact, it is true, not to mention the big ones, he knows exactly what is inside the circular space with a radius of 5 meters. After driving for about 20 minutes, the group came to a wilderness, but according to Su Ming's perception, there was a passage under the ground. As a researcher put his hand on the ground seemed to come to life, the soil and sand surged, and a metal portal appeared in front of everyone. Going out without a card, one door is not a problem for you, is it?" The blonde woman rolled her eyes, looked at Su Ming and said, "Experiencing unknown abilities is also a method of research, especially when the other party's abilities will not cause harm to herself." Su Ming glanced at her, didn't say anything, and led a few people to appear behind the portal with a slight thought. "Hiss, this is coming in. Then what's the point of the portal we've spent so much effort on setting up? There is really no reaction at all. Did you even move with the space you belong to?" It was the first time for the two researchers to experience Su Ming's spatial ability. Hearing others say it 1,000 times is not as good as experiencing it by themselves. They felt the strangeness of this ability. "It seems that we will guard against you in the future. If there is something missing from the Research Institute, you will be suspected." The blonde girl murmured that the person in charge of security also noticed the movement at this time, and only let down her vigilance after seeing that it was someone from the courtyard. "Let me introduce myself. My name is Yang Mei, a third-level researcher at the Xingcheng Ability Research Institute. I have applied to become your research subject. Of course, I don't want you to be my guinea pig. My main task is to help you understand your abilities. Development, while recording your abilities and characteristics, will not interfere with your normal life and activities." On the way, the blonde girl said to Su Ming that Su Ming is a supernatural being who has awakened supernatural abilities anyway, and there is a price to pay for treating the other party as an experimental subject. Even if the Research Institute is to better understand the ability, it cannot allow the person with the ability to become a test product. "That's okay. How do we keep in touch?" Su Ming nodded. "As long as he doesn't interfere with his free movement, it's fine to cooperate. Yo, I want my sister's contact information. Don't worry, I will equip you with a special communication device later. As long as you want, you can contact my sister immediately even if you are on the edge of a crack. Let's take a look first. Rating your abilities," Yang Mei said with a smile, pointing to the equipment beside her. The instrument is similar to the instrument when awakening, but it looks much more advanced, and there is no device for loading the awakening stone. "See if the ball is there. It doesn't take much to cover your ability. We don't know if your ability is destructive, so." Before Yang Mei could say anything, the sphere on the instrument was folded in an instant, and then turned into pieces all over the ground with a bang. "Hiss, 30 million. Is that all gone?" Yang Mei's eyes widened, and she couldn't help but said with a burst of pain, "This is a high-end achievement of Alliance technology. It was specially designed to test the strength of high-end abilities, but it turned out to be useless after a single meeting. Why don't you be so prodigal? Sister Mei, the result is out. The strength of the ability after the rejudgment is A level. My God." The researcher at the side was completely dumbfounded, and said with an unbelievable expression, looking at Su Ming as if he was looking at a monster. "Level A. Let me see." Yang Mei was stunned for a moment, then ran over impatiently. No, it's not A level, it's just that this device can only detect A level. Yang Mei recalled the changes in the power intensity curve, and found that the recorded intensity was completely a straight line, and there was no downward trend at all, which indicated that the crystal ball had reached a critical point. S class. Su Ming's ability has definitely reached the S rank. No, Sister Mei, are you sure it's S rank? The researcher on the side swallowed and said, because S-level abilities only exist in the theory of the Research Institute, and none of the Alliance's thrones have S-level abilities. But now there is an existence with S-level abilities in front of them, how can they not be surprised? I don't have any evidence to prove that it's an S grade, but it's definitely stronger than an A grade. Write a report immediately, apply to the General Institute for permission to test crystal balls, and bring the highest grade one over. Yang Mei was a little excited at the moment. The A-level ability would be able to sit on the throne in the Alliance when it grows up. This S-level ability can't go to the sky. Ahem. I don't need to pay for this, right? Let me say yes first. If you want money, I will not give it to you. Su Ming touched his head and said, who would have thought that such a high-end product would be so irresistible? It's just like this when the ability is covered. No need, no need. It's just a piece of equipment, and our research institute doesn't take it seriously. The ability judgment has been completed. Let's go to check the body next. Yang Mei said with a smile on her face, this is the future throne. How could it be possible to find someone to pay for a detection crystal ball? The body test records the level of qi and blood, but there is nothing wrong with it, which is the same as the division of strength given by the system. He also heard the conversation of Yang Mei and others about the rejudgment of the ability. With such an awesome ability of space control, it is not too much to get an S-level evaluation. Afterwards, Su Ming learned a lot about the improvement of abilities in the Research Institute. To put it bluntly, there are two aspects. One is to absorb alien elements faster through meditation, and the other is to refine the control of his own abilities, improve proficiency to strengthen the use effect of abilities. Compared with the breakthrough limit of qi and blood cultivation, the improvement of abilities is really easy and unnecessary. And as the application form of the Research Institute was sent to the General Institute, news of the suspected appearance of S-level abilities also began to appear on the desks of the principals of the major schools with abilities. There is no way. Researchers are also human beings, and if they are human beings, they cannot be separated from personal connections, and this is not confidential information. Some people will naturally notify people they know well to fight for it. Suspected to be an S level. No matter how bad it is an A level. This is the most sought-after seedling of all schools. Chapter 7. After leaving the Research Institute, Su Ming was not in a hurry to go back. Anyway, there was no one at home that he cared about. The school had no so-called demands on him. At this moment, he was fiddling with the evolution points of the system. He thought they could be used to strengthen himself, but he found that the evolution points could not be used on himself. The system also does not have the so-called mall and lottery mechanism, as if this is a string of numbers. It's inexplicable. This thing shouldn't be a counterfeit product. It's so lame. After trying several times in a row, Su Ming gave up directly, completely unable to understand the use of this evolution point. Evolution. Could it be that this thing is used to develop life levels? Human awakening abilities can be regarded as a process of evolution. The different abilities obtained are different evolution directions. If you think about it this way, spiritual abilities are also a kind of evolution, so can I use evolution points to improve my spiritual power? Mental power is an ability that human beings possess, but before the awakening of related abilities, mental power is very weak. As soon as the thought came up, the evolution point immediately decreased by 500 points. At the same time, Su Ming felt that the weight on him seemed to have lightened a lot. Qi and blood are the energy of the human body itself, and the same is true for mental power. When the mental power becomes stronger, the resistance to unknown weights will naturally become stronger. It works. It seems that my guess is correct. Then the ability should not be an improvement, but a strengthening. Seeing that the evolution point became 0, Su Ming couldn't help but smile. Now he figured out the purpose of the evolution point. The ability level is still the first level low-level ability user, but Su Ming can clearly feel that his perception of the surrounding space has become stronger, and the range has also become a little larger. At this time, Su Ming suddenly felt movement behind him, and he couldn't help shifting his body. At this moment, a thick sharp claw slashed past his eyes, making a harsh sound of piercing the air. This is a strange beast. Moving in space, he opened the distance, looked at the strange animal that looked like a black panther with scales on his body, and said softly. Everyone is familiar with the word alien beast, but not everyone has seen alien beasts, especially after the establishment of the Alliance. Every city has set up a protective net around it. Basically, there will be no alien beasts in the city. This is also on the outskirts of the city. Some strange beasts can avoid the observation point and come in by mistake. The appearance of alien beasts can be said to be brought about by space cracks, but apart from the ancestor alien beasts that appeared from the cracks at the beginning, most of the alien beasts now are the result of the original animals in this world absorbing alien molecules. Cracks are fair to every creature. Not only have humans evolved, but those animals and plants have also been affected. The Black Panther was in a culling posture, staring at Su Ming with tyrannical eyes. A lot of saliva was dripping from the corner of his mouth, and the muscles all over his body were tense. It seems that breaking through the protective net has cost you a lot of energy. In this way, don't blame me for bullying you. Although it was the first time he faced a strange beast, Su Ming was right. Among other things, it was very easy to master the spatial ability and prevent the strange beast from touching him. As if feeling Su Ming's contempt, the Black Panther beast let out a low growl, turned into a black shadow and rushed towards Su Ming very fast. But Su Ming just stretched out his palm and pushed forward, and the space in front of him suddenly began to stretch, and the distance of less than 2 meters was completely negligible for the strange beast. But it was the distance of 2 meters that made it useless to cull the Black Panther beast that had turned into a black shadow. When it landed, it moved less than half a meter. Space cutting. Before the alien beast could recover from the previous accident, Su Ming manipulated the space where the alien beast was located into 2 parts, and dissected it directly from the middle. In a hard object, it is difficult to maintain its own integrity under the broken space, not to mention that the beast is only a body of flesh and blood. Although the body has been strengthened, it is not invulnerable. Can you get 20 evolution points by killing a strange beast? But this is too little. As the body of the alien beast was split in half, Su Ming's evolution point also increased by 20 points. Although it was not much, at least it let him know how to get this unlucky thing. What's this? Z56. Number. Approaching the corpse of the beast, Su Ming found that a piece of scale armor on it was engraved with a digital code, as if the beast was raised in captivity. This is where the research institute is located. Could it be that this strange beast is the experimental body of the research institute? Su Ming couldn't help thinking that the research institute's research is not only about supernatural powers, but also alien beasts. The so-called knowing yourself and knowing the enemy, alien beasts are the main enemies of the human alliance. Only by understanding them can we better fight against them. He looked around and saw that there was no one around, and he just ran away with a space teleportation. He broke his machine as soon as he came, and now there are experimental subjects who slaughtered him. If he doesn't run, is he waiting to be compensated? Su Ming, hurry up and come to school, it's a great thing. Early in the morning, Su Ming was woken up by the principal's phone call. Hearing the excited tone of the other party, it took him a long time to react. The principal is a fourth-order supernatural being, and it seems that things are not easy for him to be so excited. Su Ming didn't think too much. He simply tidied up and started to teleport, not because he wanted to abuse his ability, but to take this opportunity to familiarize himself with his ability. No matter what, the more you use it, the easier it is to use. The same is true for abilities. Although it exists in the human body, it is a new thing after all. If you want to use the ability to the maximum extent, you must make it a part of your body. Su Ming, congratulations. You are the first A-level ability that our Star City High School has learned. All those universities for abilities are here for special recruitment, and the 4 famous schools are also here. At the school gate, the old class ran over from a distance, his mouth almost reaching the ears. Whether Su Ming's ability is S-level still needs to be certified, but A-level cannot escape. This news has spread as early as last night. As his alma mater, as his head teacher, he would naturally know about it. Now Su Ming's name is already a topic of discussion in the school. Special recruit. Are the 4 famous schools here? Su Ming asked in surprise. The Research Institute reaffirmed it yesterday, and the special recruiters from the Ability University came today. The news spread too fast. Or is it that the Ability University attaches so much importance to talents? Chapter 8. Walking into the school, Su Ming could feel strange gazes from all around without even looking. Have you heard? Our school has an A-level ability, the one who threw the awakener into the student queue when it was awakened that day. I know. Su Ming from class 6, grade 3, I have been in the same exam room as him. Su Ming. Isn't his ability C-level? Why is it A-level? Can this thing be changed? You're ignorant. Yesterday, people from the Alliance Research Institute came here specially for Su Ming. After a re-evaluation, they believed that Su Ming's power had reached A-level strength. Now, the 4 famous schools of power came here overnight. I have a gossip here. The A-level ability is just a conservative judgment on Su Ming. It is said that his ability is likely to reach the S level. This is why the 4 famous schools came here in a hurry. S rank. Isn't this a theoretical strength level? This. Su Ming. Su Ming is coming to school. Perhaps because of his increased mental strength, Su Ming could clearly hear the whispers around him, but he didn't feel much about these words. But others didn't think so. Seeing Su Ming appearing in the school, everyone cast admiring gazes. This is the owner of an A-level ability. A species that is even rarer than giant pandas. Before arriving at the principal's office, Su Ming found that the aisle was full of people, and everyone had supernatural fluctuations. When they saw Su Ming appearing, they all showed good-natured smiles. These people are all admissions teachers from the Ability University, and they are all here for you, but since the 4 famous schools have come, they are not within your consideration. The old class said with a proud face. The expression on his face was clear, and he said, "Did you see it? An A-level supernatural being, Lao Su's student. There are so many people. Could it be that the supernatural universities all over the country have come?" Su Ming said in disbelief. Although A-level powers are scarce, they are not without them, so there is no need to mobilize the crowd like this. What do you think? Su Ming, it seems that you don't know the importance of your A-level ability. Let alone school. When you graduate from university, the state agencies will send people to fight for you. You are completely strategic level talent. In fact, Su Ming really underestimated the importance of A-level abilities. Even among the 4 famous schools, this level of abilities is extremely rare. According to authoritative statistics, when the ability is awakened every year, there will be no more than 1 A-level ability owner nationwide, and sometimes there will be only 1 or 2. Based on this alone, Su Ming can definitely make all the supernatural universities in the country come here. What's more, the news that these schools got was a suspected S-level ability. If it can be verified, this is the world's first S-level ability owner. If he can enter his own school to grow, the meaning will be very different. Pushing open the door, a strong sense of oppression swept over. Although there were many people inside, Su Ming immediately looked at the 4 people. Su Ming's perception has also been improved due to the increase in mental power. He can feel that these 4 people are the main source of that oppressive feeling. If there is no accident, they should be the teachers of the 4 famous schools. Everyone, this is Su Ming from our school. Su Ming, these are the admissions teachers of the Ability University, and they came here this time mainly for your admission to the university. The principal said with a smile. The joy in his heart cannot be concealed. Before, he was worried about whether Su Ming could go to one of the 4 famous schools. As expected of an A-level unknown ability. Under the force field of the 4 of us, there is no reaction at all. This ability is powerful. Seeing Su Ming standing there blankly, a middle-aged man stroked his chin and said, a burst of surprise in his mouth. Indeed, it felt like our force field was being guided away when we approached him, and it didn't affect him at all. The ability of the space attribute is indeed wonderful. Another female teacher said that the teachers of the 4 famous schools are all 6th-order abilities, and their abilities can already form a field when they are not in use. If the ability field does not actively converge, it will easily affect low-level ability users, ranging from inconvenience to movement, to severe abilities that will be locked in the body and cannot be called. Of course, the ability field is not only able to suppress low-level ability users, but also has many conveniences for the field owner. In the original field, the power of the ability will become stronger, and it can also make your own ability appear on the field. It can be effective at any point in the domain. This is the signature ability of a high-level ability user, and it can only be obtained at the 6th level or above. But such an ability has little effect on Su Ming. Although it is a force field under the control of 4 teachers, don't forget, Su Ming just awakened the ability the day before yesterday. Su Ming, you should already know the purpose of our visit this time, so let's get straight to the point. The Imperial Capital University of Ability is willing to give a scholarship of 2 million yuan and a power stone every month as a condition in exchange for you to come to our school. At the same time, we will provide you with an exclusive instructor to practice abilities and energy and blood, and we will also provide you with free resources for energy and blood cultivation during your studies. The middle-aged man before said that as soon as the conditions came out, Su Ming could clearly feel that the headmaster standing beside him became short of breath. Apart from the 3 of the 4 famous schools, the teachers of other schools also took a breath when they heard the words. How about saying that they are the 4 famous schools? This condition is not something that ordinary schools can promise, not to mention the 2 million scholarships. Compared with the other 3 conditions, this is completely incidental. As far as the power stone and the resources for chi and blood cultivation are concerned, other schools can already withdraw from the competition. The so-called power stones or energy crystals scattered on the edge of the cracks in the universe. The promotion of powers is achieved by absorbing foreign molecules, and the power stones are aggregates of foreign molecules. Through it, the speed of power promotion can be pulled to an extreme. But because the ability stone is only found on the edge of the crack, not to mention the limited quantity, it is also very difficult to obtain. It is a very precious cultivation resource, the kind that has a price but no market. Provide 1 piece every month, the difficulty can be imagined. Not to mention the energy and blood training resources, it is an astronomical figure. This is only the initial condition of the Imperial Capital Ability University. Now that the 4 famous schools are here, they must compete for it. It is conceivable how much they value Su Ming's suspected S-level ability. Chapter 9. 1 power stone a month. This shot is too bold. I don't even have this kind of treatment. Could it be that the rumors are true? There really are S-level abilities. It's too exaggerated. I know that the 4 famous schools are very powerful, but this is really not what we can compare. The admissions teachers near the office took a breath when they heard the conditions given by the Imperial Power University. The main reason is that the conditions for a power stone in this month are too fast. You know, even for 4th level power users like them, plus alliance subsidies and school distribution, there are less than 8 power stones throughout the year. But what about Su Ming? If you don't do anything, you can get 12 yuan a year as long as you go to the Imperial Power University, and it's a conservative estimate. Hearing this, Su Ming's eyes changed a bit, but he didn't speak. Instead, he looked at the admissions teachers of the other 3 famous schools. If other people heard such conditions, they would have been too excited, but this guy is so calm, and this character is far beyond his peers, which is admirable. The conditions of our Modu University are the same. In addition, we will also provide you with 3 opportunities to practice mimicry. The only female teacher among the 4 spoke, but before she could continue, she was interrupted by a teacher from Imperial University. Ems Liu, wait a minute. If I remember correctly, mimicry training is a feature of your Demon City, but it can only be opened once a year. And only those who won the first place in the grade competition can get such a quota. Su Ming can definitely fight for it by himself. The teacher of Imperial University said that among the 4 famous schools, Imperial University was the first to be established, and its background in all aspects is relatively good. In other respects, it is not inferior to the other 3 institutions. However, he did not have the confidence to eat the mimetic cultivation of the Magic City University. This is the exclusive training resource of the Magic City University. The degree of comprehension of abilities. For those with supernatural powers, the deeper their understanding of their supernatural powers, the smoother their future cultivation will be. Especially after the 5th level, the improvement of supernatural powers is not just a change in quantity. Compared with the accumulation of alien elements, the ability improvement after the 5th level pays more attention to the fit of the ability. It's true to say that the mimicry practice can only be opened once a year, but the number of places that can be carried each time is not 3 people. In addition to satisfying the first place in each grade, the energy accumulated over the years is also it can meet the needs of the 4th place. Teacher Lu said with a charming smile. After awakening the supernatural power, the temperament of a person has changed a lot. In addition, Teacher Lu is already beautiful. This smile made many male teachers a little restless. You too. It's really too much to compare one to the other. In this way, my ancient capital academy can't be too shabby. Although power stones are scarce, 10 stones a year are still affordable. Needless to say, the school's own it's just for this kind of thing. In addition to the above aspects, we will form an exclusive teaching team to develop tailor-made supernatural combat skills for you, which will be effective for life. Mimetic cultivation is the highlight of Mordo University, and the highlight of Ancient Capital Academy is the development of supernatural combat skills. Now almost all of the common combat skills and supernatural cultivation methods in the Alliance are provided by Ancient Capital Academy. Those who come out of the Ancient Capital Academy have the most supernatural combat skills among their peers. The so-called pinnacle of skills refers to the Ancient Capital Academy. Not to mention anything else, as long as you come to our Southern Metropolis Supernatural University, the entrance ceremony is a set of supernatural armor. In the future, no matter what your strength is, we will upgrade your armor and provide you with a set of armor for free. All the training resources during schooling. As soon as these words came out, the eyelids of the teachers from the other 3 famous schools jumped. The Southern Metropolis Supernatural University focuses on the combination of technology and supernatural powers, so it was within their expectations to provide conditions such as supernatural power armor. It's just that all the resources are provided for free, which makes people speechless, but they have such strength. The 4 famous schools have similar comprehensive strengths and each has its own characteristics, but apart from technology and abilities, Nandu University of Extraordinary Abilities is also extremely rich. The wealth here does not refer to money, but resources, because the site of Nandu Ability University was built on a piece of fallen space crack crystals. If others want the power stone, they can only go to the edge of the crack to get it through hard work and risk, but Nandu University of Power can produce it by itself. Although there are not many in number, people can have power stones sitting at the door of their house, and they are renewable. Who can compare to this? The requirements of the 4 famous schools have been announced, and the next thing is to see how Su Ming chooses. The master has not spoken yet, but there is a quarrel outside the office. Crazy, crazy. How can this be recruiting students? This is clearly cultivating the throne. To be honest, I even want to become a student and go to the 4 famous schools. This treatment beats me by 8 blocks. I just said that we shouldn't come. How could the 4 famous schools let an A-level ability come out? What's more, there are rumors of a suspected S-level ability, which has no place for us. As the promised conditions spread, none of these admissions teachers became calm. Missing the A-level ability was the second most important thing, mainly due to the conditions given by the 4 famous schools. Taking a deep breath, Su Ming smiled apologetically at the 3 male teachers and said, 3 teachers, I'm sorry, I chose to go to the University of Magical Abilities. Each of the conditions offered by the 4 famous schools is irresistible, but after comprehensive consideration, Su Ming believes that the mimicry training at the Magic University of Ability University is what he needs. There is no other reason, just because the spatial ability is too special, so special that there are almost no materials and documents. That is to say, whether it is the development of the supernatural combat skills of the Ancient Capital Academy or the supernatural armor of the Southern Metropolis Supernatural University, it is very likely that there is no way to realize it. In the same way, the Imperial Capital Ability University has a complete teaching system, but they have never been exposed to spatial abilities. In general, these 3 colleges can only give him saturated resources. The others look good, but they don't mean much to him. It's different here in the Magic Capital. The practice of mimicry is realized through the essence of supernatural powers. No matter what kind of supernatural power it is, it can be embodied in mimicry. Although it is said that the author masters of the previous life have thoroughly played with the space, but no one has really touched the space. Su Ming himself has only just come into contact with the space, and his understanding of the space is not thorough enough, and the practice of mimicry can make up for this shortcoming. Hey, it's really a pity, but since you have made a choice, we will respect you. Maybe Shanghai University is really more suitable for you. The teacher in the imperial capital shook his head and said, what Su Ming can understand, they can naturally understand. But if you understand it, you will still be unwilling to see an A-level ability that is suspected to be an S-level ability and miss it. Chapter 10. Don't look at the four people who were full of confidence when they made the quotation just now, but in fact they didn't know what to do. Who can teach the unknown abilities well? Who can guarantee that suitable combat skills and armor can be developed? Except for the fact that Mr. Liu in Shanghai has no such worries, the other three are just putting on airs. After all, they are suspected of being S-level, so it is good to be able to get them to their own school. Su Ming, which school you choose is up to you, but we can't do it for nothing. Can you show us your abilities? The teacher at Imperial University suggested that it would not be worthwhile to throw out all the conditions of his own, and not even know what other people's abilities are. And he also wanted to know what kind of ability it was that attracted the competition between the four famous schools. Let's do it. Su Ming hesitated for a moment, nodded and agreed, but when he activated his ability to teleport himself to the bookshelf, he found that the space in this office became extremely difficult to control. The scope has not changed, but the space itself has changed, as if someone is competing with him for control. With the activation of the ability, Su Ming disappeared in place, but the place where he appeared was not next to the bookshelf he selected, but near the vase. Sure enough, it's silent. Do you have any questions? The four 6th level power users didn't notice any reaction, and space sensing was not something they could touch. But when they saw the expression on Su Ming's face, they immediately felt something was wrong. The deviation of 0.5 meters, why? Su Ming looked at the bookshelf he had chosen, and frowned involuntarily. This was the first time he had experienced such a thing after awakening the power, and his space teleportation actually deviated. Deviation. Is there a problem with your transfer this time? Teacher Liu immediately realized that Su Ming is half a student of their Shanghai University, and she didn't want any accidents for him. I just wanted to appear on the bookshelf, but ended up here at the vase. I wonder if the space here has changed because of the presence of several teachers. Su Ming guessed that in the past, people who were teleported were people who were similar to him, and there were no high-level power users around. In terms of variables, there were only these four 6th level power users. Try to move me and see if it has any effect. Teacher Liu said, if the reason for the problem with Su Ming's ability is because he waited for others, then it must have a significant performance on himself. Su Ming didn't talk nonsense. A large number of abilities flocked to Teacher Liu. As soon as he got close, Su Ming felt a strong pressure, and the abilities in his body were desperately lost. At the same time, the veins on Su Ming's head popped out, big drops of sweat emerged, and finally changed Teacher Liu's spatial position. However, there is a huge gap between the normal and the teleportation distance of less than half a meter. It seems to be suppressed. But this is normal, you have just awakened the ability. If you can affect the high-level ability user at will, then it is not normal. Seeing this, Mr. Wang spoke, telling the truth in one word. Even if it is an A-level ability strength, you have to follow the rules. No, you are a first-level low-level ability user, and if you use the ability on a 6th-level ability user, it will be hell if it has a significant effect. A level is strong, but your strength is low. Actually, if he wants to, it's not impossible to cause harm to me. At this time, Teacher Liu said with a complicated expression. Everyone turned their heads to look, and when they saw the tip of a knife in her hand, their pupils shrank involuntarily. A grade alloy sword was cut off. The teacher from Southern Metropolis University said with an unbelievable face, looking at the silky cross-section, his face was full of shock. This is a sword made of different beast materials that can carry supernatural powers. The weapon, which is difficult to be broken even by 6th-order superhumans, was actually cut into 2 pieces. What destructive power is this? How did you do it? Everyone looked at Su Ming in astonishment, completely unable to figure out why a first-level supernatural being would have such destructive power. His ability is not space teleportation. I just sensed it carefully. He should have replaced the space area where I am with another space area. This sword may be hidden by me. It was not found, so only half of it was replaced, and the other half remained in the original space. Teacher Lu took a deep breath and said, sweating involuntarily, if something happened to Su Ming when he was using the power just now, he might not be complete now. Hiss. That is to say, if he wants to, the four of us, how much we want to become depends on his mood. Then he is invincible below the 6th level. The teacher of the ancient capital academy said with a strange face, even an A-level sword can cut so smoothly, let alone the body of a superhuman. The teacher was joking. Just now, Teacher Lu didn't do anything, and my ability can only be effective. In this way, I only change the position by less than half a meter. If Teacher Lu mobilized the ability at that time, I'm afraid my side it's about to fall first. Su Ming gasped and said, teleportation is so difficult, let alone cutting the space around the 6th order ability user. Of course, this is not to say that the space ability is weak, it can only be said that Su Ming's strength is not enough. The ability to easily cut the A-level sword is enough to show that the destructiveness of space is still beyond doubt. The unknown ability is such a troublesome thing. I don't know anything, so I can only explore it step by step. But Su Ming, your ability is really destructive, even if it is the same A-level ability, at the same level. I'm afraid that no one can surpass you in terms of destructive power. The teacher from Southern Metropolis University said that he doesn't understand the power of space, but according to his own knowledge, if a space is separated or broken, what happens to the objects in this space is somewhat conceivable. No one will question whether the impact of space changes is destructive enough. Now our freshman contest will be fun to watch. I don't know what kind of sparks you will collide with the other two A levels. Teacher Lu took a breath and said, she had a hunch that this year's freshman contest would definitely be much more outrageous than previous years. Seeing that Su Ming was out of breath, it was obvious that his powers had been exhausted, and it was not good for him to continue using his powers, so the teachers had no choice but to give up. Except for Mr. Lu, who stayed and talked to Su Ming, the other teachers also left one after another. After all, Su Ming's going to Shanghai University has been finalized, so it doesn't make sense for them to stay. It's better to take a look at the C-level ability owners in the school, maybe you can meet some good seedlings. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.